Amen. Go ahead and have a seat. Welcome to the park today. My name's Jeff. It's great to be here with you. Good morning. And there's an attendance pad in the row that you're sitting in. I invite you to fill that out and let us know that you were here. We communicate by email, so a great email address is helpful. And as well, there are prayer cards in the seat backs in front of you. We count it a privilege to be able to pray with you and for you. So we've been looking at this series we call The Finish Line, and we've been looking at the biblical passages that have athletic images in them. And when the more I read them, I come across this question about what does success look like? It's sort of easy to figure out what success looks like for an athlete, depending on what sport you're playing. But what does success look like in life for you? Here's what the Apostle Paul writes to his young protege Timothy in 1 Timothy 4. The Spirit clearly says that in later times some will abandon the faith and follow deceiving spirits and things taught by demons. Such teachings come through hypocritical liars whose consciences have been seared as with a hot iron. They forbid people to marry, order them to abstain from certain foods, which God created to be received with thanksgiving by those who believe and who know the truth. For everything God created is good, and nothing is to be rejected if it is received with thanksgiving, because it is consecrated by the word of God and prayer. If you point these things out to the brothers and sisters, you'll be a good minister of Jesus Christ, nourished on the truths of the faith and of the good teaching that you have followed. Now here's where it hits home for us. Have nothing to do with godless myths and old wives' tales. Rather, train yourself to be godly. For physical training is of value, but godliness has value for all things, holding promise for both the present life and the life to come. What's really important in your life? The physical or the spiritual? Watch this little video clip.
You know, like I said, football is really, really important to me. And you know, you get during the season and you get into the heat of battle, and you think there's nothing more important than winning this game. When in reality, there are so many more important things out there. So I've always felt it's important to have a good relationship with the Lord. You know, He always has to be your number one priority. I grew up in a good Christian home. My parents, you know, we went to Sunday school and church every Sunday, so it's always got to be your number one priority.
Jesus is everything, and the great thing about Jesus is He'll meet you right where you're at. You know, and it's free. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to work for it. He gives it to us because He loves us and He's full of grace.
He's the Alpha, He's the Omega. He's the beginning and end of everything. And you know, in my life, you know, to understand where we've reached, you know, which is quote unquote in the world's view the pinnacle. You really see how empty that is. And having Jesus in my life, you know, you really see how important that is, because you see that He is everything. I mean, to take Jesus, who is perfect, and to be so humble as to come to earth as a mere man, and to live the life that He lived, despite knowing my sin, to go on the cross and to die for my sin and our sin and everyone's sin. To me, I mean, that's everything. You know, that's joy, that's peace, that's love. To think that Him in His perfection would do that despite knowing the depths of who I am.
Jesus is love. You know, at the end of the day, we're all looking for somebody to comfort us, for somebody to be there for us at all times, for somebody when we're in the worst times of our lives, when we're battling with something, with struggles, whatever it may be. You know, when we're at our highest point too, as well. When things are going really well, we want somebody to comfort us and be there for us and say, "Great, you know, well done." You know, and that's Jesus. Jesus has always been there. He'll never leave you, never forsake you.
Literally, Jesus is the greatest treasure in the universe, and it just makes sense. It's not like you give up your life and then you get something worse. You know, it's like Jesus is. All of us.
You give the worst and get the best.
That's no question. You know, He gave us everything. We had nothing. He gave us everything. So literally, it's just 1 + 1 = 2. It's just that simple. You know, Jesus is better than anything that we could ever, even better than the Super Bowl, better than the NFL career.
Is the NFL coach supposed to say that? That anything is better than the Super Bowl?
Don't Jesus, yeah. I don't know if this
Edit
is,
that out.
I think some of us here, all of us here would like to say, who knows what's going to happen. But if we ever to win the Super Bowl, to be to tell everyone that, no, Jesus is still better. Because as much as we worship this thing called a ring and championship, although we like to have one for sure, I just can't wait to tell people. If that happens, God willing, we'll be able to tell people, yeah, Jesus is way better still. Because you're going to wake up the next day, things are going to be the same if you don't have Jesus. If you have Jesus, it's still going to be awesome, win or lose. So.
Amen. Why don't you stand and greet someone next to you as we worship